my 7-day addiction.
Watching, so let's go ahead and get started here. So before we get too far, let's just go around the kind of around the studio, talk about who's here. And so I'll start with me. My name is Sam Robles. I'm from Palo Fishing, and I'll be facilitating the conversation here and kind of helping Monty extracting knowledge from his head about lures specifically. Go ahead, Victor.
I'm Victor. I have been fishing for quite a while now. I think since I was like 1 year old,
Yeah,
and I'm also here to try to learn from everybody that's listening, and of course from these two guys right
yeah.
here, man.
All right, let's
Not
turn it on to the man of the
Some
moment.
of us work for a living.
Yeah. So all of you guys know, you guys have probably out there used his lures out there, caught a lot of fish with them. They've been doing great things. This is Monty Montgomery, and he's
Monte. To
Monte.
some people.
Yeah, Monte, right? So here in the valley. So,
What
but
nice
to
but
meet you,
Monty
sir.
Monty is one of the guys behind AM Lures. A lot of you guys use them out there. So definitely, and the reason we're here today to kind of get him started. We're actually
Like if you got fish pattern and you know where they're gonna be and you know where they're eating, you can throw a lure at them, you can throw bait at them, like you're gonna catch them.
right.
The nuances and everything about using lures that people kind of get all hung up on, like, oh, what's the best color? What's this? What's that? Like, there's no solid answer. It's not like, hey, this color, this time of year, this spot, that's what you use. Like, it's not just color, it's not just size. Everything's just a completely new situation every single day. Um, but yeah, it's like I was saying, man. If you can catch fish on bait consistently, just go to those same spots and start throwing lures.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
okay, maybe you don't catch them as much first off. All you got to do is stick with it. And okay, well, that one didn't work. Let me try this one. Okay, working it fast didn't work. Let me try to work slow. And that's all it is just figuring that out. And you do that so much that like you start realizing on a day-to-day basis that that's like what you have to do. I could be on fish on this spot and catch as many as I want in one day and then go back the next day and
Nothing.
there's nothing there. Or maybe they're there, but they're not eating. I mean, we got flounder spots that we'll stop at and we're walking through and spooking flounder. Then we're dragging lures in front of them and they're not doing crap. And the day before we had as many as we wanted, they were hitting like crazy. There's a lot of different, I don't really know how to word
Yeah,
it,
I mean, there's a
but
lot of variables. There's a lot of
yeah,
factors that go
just an
into it. It's
infinite
just
amount of
like,
variables, and
Yeah.
it's like just you just got to get out there for yourself. You can learn from everybody. You can get tips from this person, that person. You can't copy people though,
yep.
like because you're not ever going to learn that
Yeah,
way.
you
Like
got to
if
get
you're
in the
just
game, right? You
yeah,
Correct.
can't
Yeah, you
you
gotta
can't just
yeah,
sit
that's
you gotta
all it
back
watch.
and watch
is.
from the
I,
sidelines,
I know
Yeah,
right?
I
And
know you
just
said you can't copy, but like one thing I do when I go with these guys as well is I watch what they're doing.
yeah.
I watch what they're doing. If
I'm
you see,
talking like overall. Like, let me just clarify that like really quick. I'm talking like as an overall. You can't just be like, "Yo, I'm gonna lock onto this guy. I'm gonna fish exactly the way he
yeah,
does. I
nah,
want to know exactly where he goes every
nah, you
single
gotta be
day."
you,
And
man.
that's like because I know he knows how to catch fish, so I want to do exactly what he does. And it's like you can't do that, unless you're literally like with him on the boat every single time.
right.
He's your dad or whatever. Fish. Okay, that's you can kind of get away with a little bit, but yeah, it's really just about the willingness to figure it out for yourself. Like I've got my own string of experiences that have led me up to this point, and I base all my decisions off not all of them, but mostly it's based off of that.
Yeah,
What
But
I've had success with in the past, in the present, string of variables that I'm presented with. And that's kind of what I start off of, so it's like, okay, I'm in this color water and these conditions and I've thrown these colors and I like them and I've had success with them in the past. And so that's kind of like I can just make that decision before I even hop in the water, but that's because I've spent a lot of time.
right. So like if you were going to start right off this from scratch, if you will, you're walking into the store, wherever you buy your lures at, and what are the 3 or 4 lures or colors that you walk out of the store with?
me personally, when I first started with lures, white.
White.
I would go with white. I actually started out with a popping cork, so I
Okay.
started using a popping cork, putting a jig head on it, and working that. Once I started getting
So
some
so
action.
why like you're talking about like a bag of Gulp or under a popping cork
Like
or?
bag of Gulp. I think a bag of Gulp for anybody who's beginning. Gulp is a great lure.
Mhm.
Obviously they've been around for
I mean, that's how I started with
Yeah.
yeah.
Gulp. Yeah.
No, they're a great lure. Put that in a popping cork, and it's gonna do good. It's gonna do good. So that's how I started. Popping cork with Gulp white, and then you progress. You
So you're
start learning.
saying, all right. So just to kind of capture that is like you're saying that if you're going to the store, you're going to buy something that walking out with a bag of Gulp and a popping cork is a good place to start.
To me, it would be a good place to start.
Yeah.
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 You've never thrown lures. I mean, we've never thrown, a lot of people never thrown lures, but a lot of people have thrown popping corks
Yeah.
out there with live shrimp under it
Correct.
or whatever, right? So, yeah, I think that's right. I think that's a
Yeah.
good point.
I think it's about getting that feeling of like,
Yeah.
hey, it was an allure.
Yeah.
It was an allure.
Building your
Just getting
confidence.
yeah, building that confidence.
That's
then
what
you
it is. It's
change it
just
to a jig head.
like being able to stick with the lures and keep throwing them. And yeah, you're gonna want to throw bait. Like if you grew up throwing bait and you're trying to make the switch, like
Or bread.
like you have to deal with that, right? Like you have to make like I want to throw lures now. Okay, you got to make that jump.
Absolutely. Yeah.
My advice would to just be look at your group of friends, your family, whoever you know. You got to have
Well,
and if you
yeah.
don't know someone that fishes with lures or that's doing what you want to do, and this is pretty much just general advice, period, I guess you could say, but find someone that is doing it or has
Okay.
done it or
Yep.
likes
That's
to
good.
do it, and hey, get some advice.
Yeah.
Take
One-
them to the tackle shop with you, take them to lunch, and then say, hey, we're gonna go to the tackle shop, and I want you
Or
to get
even
me
like that. I
started.
mean, one thing,
Like
one thing I
you
really
gotta
like
look.
about yeah,
Yeah,
you
You
just
gotta take the
you
initiative
got to
and
put
be
yourself
like,
out there
hey,
and ask for it.
get on
Help.
Fishaholics even and just freaking ask the question on
Yep.
Facebook. I mean, you'll have a million people on there giving you all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Now it's up to you to filter
Well,
them
that's kind of
out.
like walking in the store, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
what-
But
talking about
that's what I'm saying.
walking
Like,
in
it's
the
up to you to
store.
filter them out. You can click on that person's profile and be like, okay, yo, I see a bunch of fish pictures. Okay, maybe I lend more weight to what this guy's saying.
so does that mean you only catch fish
Maybe.
if you post them on Facebook?
No.
You know
I'm
what?
just saying,
One,
like if you're
There's-
filtering through the,
I'm just-
there's
one
a
thing
way to
I also
kinda-
did is walking into an academy when I started with lures. I didn't know what to look for. But one thing I did was I looked for lures that I thought looked cool.
Yeah.
But that's the gimmick part of it, right?
It's just-
is,
I was like,
Yeah.
if I don't know what I'm
I mean-
doing, I might as well look good doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So,
it's also kind of the confidence thing. Like,
Correct,
if
I
I'm gonna
said,
throw
man,
something I know I like.
if I like it,
Yeah.
maybe the fish
Well,
will like
nowadays,
it.
right,
If you're looking for just like, if you're going into the shop and you want to get the starter pack, if you will, of
Sure.
lures, and you're talking just strictly like color,
Yep.
you can go into
Or-
size and shape and all that crap, however much you want. But if you're just looking basic color, you want a white, you want a dark, and
What's
you
a
want
dark?
bright.
Like, what is dark?
Like just color. Like you want a white, just
White.
plain white worm, pearl, anything. Every fish on earth has a white belly. There's white shrimp. There's all kinds of shit that fish eat. That any predatory fish is going to eat something white.
Okay.
You want a dark color, root beer, black, dark purple. Reds. You want a bright, which is like a freaking chartreuse and white, bright pink and white. It's like an attention getter. So basically, that would be like if I'm in a bunch of bait fish, there's a ton of mullet around or something. I want to throw something out there that's got a whole lot of flash in it, or it's got a whole big, like hard presentation, so it stands out from all the natural bait. Obviously, that's assuming there's fish feeding in the area and they're chasing the bait, and it's like, hey, what's going to make them eat yours? But that's just that certain situation that I'm going to want to throw that. You want the white and the dark, mainly to match the water. You get out there and you're in some like real murky stuff. I'll usually start with a darker lure, kind of match the water, darker lure, lighter water, lighter lure, and then just kind of switch it up from there. Sometimes they want the darker lure, sometimes they want the lighter lure. It's just, but you want this variety. And me personally, I like to have a white, a dark, a bright, and something super natural looking. Like,
So, what's a natural looking color?
for me, it would be something just with some translucency to it, a little bit of flash. Just like if you look at a bait fish in the water, you don't see like a hard outline.
Okay.
It's kind of like any fish. They're designed to blend in. So something that doesn't stand out a lot. You want a kind of a subtler presentation.
Silver and
is-
black. Or,
Yeah, it'd be something like I could freaking name any kind of our colors or all kinds of other ones. But you could do we got one called a baby trout, which is kind of like I mean, a baby bass. It's not like a new color or anything, but it's just a translucent, super natural color. Doesn't stick out, doesn't stand out. And I'll throw that a lot on like today, dude. It was real high pressure. Kind of calmed down. There wasn't a lot of water movement at times. Everything just kind of settles down. The fish sit in the grass and they get kind of lethargic, and you just kind of barely pull something real natural, real clear looking over their heads, and kind of like force feed them.
Yeah.
Like that is such a natural looking presentation, and it's so just easy for them to just swim up and slurp up. Sometimes you got to do that. um and the color too, some days it doesn't matter. You can throw freaking anything you want in there and they're gonna hit it.
Oh, they're gonna hit it.
Some days I'm out there freaking throwing everything in the box, and then I put on some random color and it's
It's
game
on, yeah.
And it's like
Or
they
we've
just
been out there and you're catching on money, and I'm throwing,
Yeah.
chicken chart, and we're both slamming fish.
yeah,
Those two colors are not even.
those are both really great.
Yeah.
Um like natural kind of lighter
Okay.
ones. You got the money is kind of a red glitter on the back and gold on the bottom. It's got some translucency to it. It's a little bit flashier. And the lures can fit in different categories, right? So I could have a freaking bright lure that's also a really natural looking color, like
Okay.
like a pink and
So,
white.
so there's no like distinction, like
Yeah,
clear distinction. They
yeah,
can
no,
kind
no,
of.
no, no. I
It's a
mean,
gray line in
I was
between
just
them.
saying, like
in
you want a
general.
variety.
Yep.
So
At
if
least
you want
four is what you said: black,
Yeah.
white, natural, and
a bright,
a bright.
like
Yeah.
like an
So
attention getter, like just a hard white, something dark, dark purple, red, black, brown, root beer, and then you want just that supernatural, like that definitely is like you don't see a freaking pink and chartreuse mullet swimming around, So you throw,
sure.
like a
No.
see-through silver and black kind of thing,
Got
so
it.
it's a little bit more of like a silhouette kind of bait. It's not a and if you just get those four, Gulp's got them too. If you're gonna name the Gulps, I would get like a neon pepper, a new penny, um,
Yeah, new penny's great.
Oh,
a
yeah,
root
it's-
beer, and then I don't know if they have like a clear one. They don't. They're all pretty hard colors,
Yeah.
but maybe just some one off, like some red, some red one, or maybe like a pink. Or,
When I would use a gulp, when I was using it before, I would get a
Well,
lot
I
of
still
the.
use Gulp all the
Yeah,
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
white-
I mean, there's nothing
white
wrong with it.
Gulp
It
with
works.
the
It
chartreuse.
works. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just.
and,
And
and
it was always
that
good.
was a good point though at the popping cork too. And you're saying like, yo, if you're fishing popping cork and shrimp, just take the damn shrimp off and put a lure under there.
Yeah. Absolutely. So,
like,
no, yeah.
And that's what I would do. I'd go to the deeper
Yeah.
water that I was used to catching trout.
Yep.
And that's where I started.
Right.
I just
I-
getting confidence
Well, that's a
building.
good point, right? Like, so when I got started throwing lures with a popping cork, right? And I started catching fish with it. I was like, oh, this is cool, right? Whatever. And then but I didn't really. It took me a while to learn that transition between like throwing a popping cork, throwing a jig head, right? Because then I would go into like a foot and a half, and I'm throwing a popping cork with
Yeah.
with,
you catch? Were you looking for grass?
yeah, I was looking for
Just catching the
whatever, right?
size.
It's just like again, it's like man, I'm pretty good with this or with the popping cork. I just didn't know how to make that transition, so
Yeah.
I eventually figured it out, right? After I was, like you said, catching a bunch of grass. But
One of the- one of the most-
but that's what it is. Like you're constantly just trying to find people that can help you up your game.
oh yeah,
and that's the best way to do.
we're so again. We'll touch up. We'll kind of go a little bit further down this route, and then we'll revert back to lures. But up in your game is everything, right? That's why people go from throwing bait to throwing lures, right?
yeah.
It's a way to kind of level up, if you will.
Yeah.
And like, all right, I've caught a lot of fish, or maybe I haven't caught a lot of fish, right? Whatever with chunking bait now. But I don't want to say it's getting boring, but how do I spice it up? How do I make right? I'm becoming
Yeah.
a better angler, and whatever that is for you at your respective age or where you're at, it could be throwing a bait caster, it could be throwing lures, it could be learning how to fly fish, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Like there's always ways to continue that journey, and that's really what we really want to promote is, and we understand that like I've got people and friends that like are you, Monty, that have been fishing for a long time, have a lot of experience, but are still looking to kind of what's the
Yeah.
next thing I can do? How can I become better? At a better angler, but if
if-
you're so again,
I'm
without
I'm-
making a plug, right? Like if you're going to go out there and buy 4 lures at your store, I mean, what are
Yeah.
the 4 lures? What are the 4 bags you come out with? If you're first starting, if you're just getting into it right now,
If I would for sure get gulp,
okay,
and I would get white with the chartreuse tail, and of course gulp. They do have. I would probably say a paddle tail would be what I would go.
a gulp paddle tail,
A
okay.
gulp paddle tail is what I started off with.
So,
Okay.
well, but all right. So gulp is definitely one way to go, right? So you come in there, you buy your 4 bags of gulp in each color, and then that should be good, right? You'd
Yeah.
be fine. So
Just be careful with the goat because don't get let that bag
Yeah.
open because
yeah,
they'll dry out.
that's the other thing too, right?
Yeah,
So
they'll
you
dry
go
out.
out there, and so you have bags, and then maybe we can kind of make that transition now. So what Monty said here was that colors are important, but it's more about the
Sometimes.
categorization of colors. And
Yeah.
so even though you may be 30 different colors by name, they're really, you can group them into 3 or 4 classes, right? A
Yeah.
dark, a light, a natural, and
Right.
a bright. And
Yeah.
sometimes there's some overlap between
Yeah.
those, right? And the other thing, the other key point that I got was that it doesn't really matter in the specific, if you will, action that they call, right?
Yeah.
So swim baits and paddle tails, whatever. It's just, it's more of a of just kind of getting those variants in colors.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that like, having the tail action, it definitely matters. Like it definitely helps. But I'm trying to answer these questions and give my point of view from like someone that is, like you said,
Yeah,
they're
absolutely.
walking
You're right.
into a
You're right. Yep.
When
tackle
we
shop
Yep.
started,
for the
Yeah.
first
Just
time. They've
absolutely. Yep.
never done it.
Yep.
Like this is bare minimum basic. Like start with this and build on it.
Yep.
So get your 4 colors. You want a big variety, right? You always want a variety. Like if you're throwing like a white and silver and you're not catching fish on it and you switch to just an all white, like you probably stuff's probably not going to change. The fish aren't going to be like, "Oh, there's no silver. Okay, I'm going to eat that white one now." Like if you're throwing a white and silver and you're not catching fish and you feel like there's fish there, they just don't like it. Change to something different, put
All right.
on a darker
So,
color.
so I'm
so
gonna
you go
touch
out
on
there,
that. You're trying your colors, and like, at what point do you say, I'm done with this dark one. I'm trying to switch into the white. And so, how often are you switching colors?
I used to do. I used to have
Every cast.
no. I actually I used to have a 50 cast.
50
So that was
casts.
what I started. Was I would take 50 casts if I
You
didn't
would
catch
count
anything.
50 casts
Yes, if I
down.
didn't catch anything, I changed lures.
With
That's
4
what.
bags of lures. Let's talk jig heads really quick. So just someone who wants to get into lures, like, so you go in, you buy 4 bags of um lures. What else do you need?
If you're talking jig
Jig heads?
heads, just like if you're fishing in the saltwater, like we do here, the shallow bays and stuff around the Gulf Coast, and you're throwing artificials, 99% of the time, all you need is a 16th and an eighth.
16th and an eighth.
Um,
How
maybe
how
not
deep how
99% of the
deep does
time,
that
but
cover you?
add a quarter in there too, and
At
it's
a quarter.
99% of the
Okay,
time.
so three bags, 4 bags of lures, 3 bags of jig heads,
Yeah.
an eighth, a 16th, and a fourth.
The difference
Quarter.
between an eighth and a 16th isn't huge. I prefer
It's a 16th.
Yeah, like I prefer a 16th just because that fits my cadence. I
I,
figured that out.
just at any
You know,
depth, or
my partner Albert likes to throw an eighth. Just and this is just like we're usually fishing knee to thigh deep, right? We're in a foot to 3 foot of water, so we don't really need a heavy jig head to get down.
right.
If I'm in like waist plus and I'm trying to get it on the bottom, I'm gonna want to throw a quarter. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to work it super slow to keep it down there.
Yep.
So that have a lighter, say 16th, or I even throw a 32nd usually with the jig heads. Um, it's going to sink a lot slower, obviously. So you're going to have to let that get down there. And if you work it too fast, it's going to get up in the water column. And
Yep.
they're all going to keep it on the bottom. So you're flounder fishing, or it's winter and it's cold, and they're sitting in a freaking muddy gut or something, and they're not coming up more than 6 inches off the bottom because they don't want to freeze to death. It's I'm gonna throw a quarter, right?
All right. So my first
And
objective is to
and
try to get someone out of the door, right? So they
yeah,
walk into the door. All right, they walk in blindly. So now they know they need 4 bags of lures. They need 3 bags of jig heads. Okay. So it's in
that
there.
line is completely all it's doing is getting just ripped across his mouth left and right throughout that entire fight. They got teeth, they got gill plates. I mean, like they're
Okay.
not soft, cuddly creatures,
Yeah. They're not
So
They
there's
bite, bro. They
teddy
bite.
bears.
there is stuff on there that's gonna rough it up,
Yeah, okay.
And like me personally, I just throw a 30-pound monoliter,
Okay,
and that's
30-pound
just what
mono.
I use. I don't use 15 here and 20 there. I use 30 across the board. That's fine.
So what line of a braid are you using?
I use Finn's 40G 15-pound.
Okay.
That's the best I found for myself.
I use a 20 pound.
15, 20-pound
I use
braid
a
line is
20
kind of
pound.
what
Yeah.
I think.
I do
Albert
also
uses
use a
10.
30.
It's all kind of preference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so 10, between 10 and 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think if you're just starting, I don't think you need to worry about, do I need a leader or do I not need a leader? Like, get go out there, throw those lures out there, work them.
Okay.
You know,
Hey, you're going
how
to bites, right? So if you
Yeah.
start losing fish because you don't have a leader, then you kind of
Yeah.
adjust
I
accordingly,
didn't
right?
use the
And
leader.
so the leader is not going to affect your presentation of your lure as you're working
No,
it.
the
Good.
leader is just there to protect against the fish.
Okay.
That's
All right.
it.
Good. That okay.
And as far as the weedless versus jig head thing goes, throw a jig head unless you're forced to throw weedless
Okay.
because you're gonna hook up way like your hookup ratio with a jig head is gonna be way higher than with
Okay.
weedless.
Yeah, that's
No,
true.
that's a good point.
That's
So
true.
so just
Um,
all right.
like I like if I could just throw a jig head all the time, I would. But there's some times where we're fishing and there's just so much grass that like you can't fish a jig head. You
Yeah.
have to have a weedless. You have to
Somebody
build
So
cheer,
four
so,
four bags of lures, some jig heads, and I would say come out with a popping cork.
All right. A popping
yeah,
cork do all right.
Yeah,
So,
popping core is nothing wrong with that, man.
it's very I just have a lot of confidence in the
Yeah.
popping cork just because I've got a lot of fish on it. But yes, so all right. So now you come
proven
out of
system.
yeah, it's definitely right. And not to say that anything else doesn't work. It's just that's what
Yeah,
my
no,
experience has been, right? And so my
There are
perspective.
instances though where that cork's gonna scram away.
Yeah.
There are instances like it's not all
On
the
windy
time.
days or
No, I'm talking like freaking pressure's over 30. There's no wind. Everything still
okay.
like you want a super subtle, natural light present, like you want a see-through bait pretty much, and you want to work it slow.
Very
Yeah.
So like
very
if you're throwing that popping cork and they're real skittish, or it's even if it's just like real clear water, or like you're saying real shallow water, like you don't want to throw a popping cork shallow
Right.
water.
Nah.
You can,
I've done it.
Yeah.
You can
I haven't
put
caught any fish on it, but I
yeah, I
did
mean,
it
you
'cause
can,
I thought I could.
it just got popular down here that the 212 rig, right? It's
Yeah.
just it's the freaking top water with the lure behind it, right? So that
It works.
It works, yeah. No,
you
it
can
works.
fish, yeah, they definitely does, it's not knocking
Shout
it.
out to Smiley. Go ahead, check out the
Just a
212.
plug.
Yeah. So Jacob says that's the way he started too with popping cork. So it seems like a
Yeah.
lot of people have started that way.
Yeah.
So it seems like really the consensus is that if you're
It's
if
a
you
good
never,
way to get the cadence down.
it's a good way to kind of
Yeah.
start working that and getting into it. So so
'Cause when
definitely
you're out there throwing the lure, man, you gotta visualize like where it is in the water column,
on the water column.
because it's like some days they're hitting on the bottom part, some days they're in the top part. Some days you got to keep it. It usually doesn't matter, but when it does, like you want to be able to figure it out. And that kind of ties back to like if you just drop me, I was completely in the dark. Like there's no landmarks. I'm just in the salt water. I don't know where I am, what to do. I'm gonna start off with the white. It doesn't really even matter what you start off with. Just pick one of your colors, put it on, and like me, I'm gonna start off working it super slow.
Slow, like on the
And
bottom.
yeah, like
So what like
not even
so
like on the bottom. Like I can work it slow in the top of the water
well what
column
is slow
too.
like? So slow is like a 16th or an eighth or so we were walking out with
Yeah,
three
I'm gonna
jig
put
heads.
a lighter jig head on. I'm gonna throw it out there, and I'm gonna count. I'm gonna throw a 16. Just
Okay, so
I'm
you
gonna.
start off with
I
a
know I'm gonna
16th
throw a
and
16th
okay,
because I know like
okay.
that's just what I'm gonna start with.
Yep.
If you want to start with an eighth, Dan Getta, that guy throws an eighth all the time. That's what he likes to throw. That's what works for him. That's that's right for him.
Yep.
Albert likes throwing an eighth.
I throw an eighth.
Yeah, you like an eighth.
Anyway, so we start off with you start off with a 16th. You can start off with an eighth, whatever you're
like just your
okay.
jig head, put it on. Doesn't matter.
Yep. Yeah.
Like whatever
Go out
the
there.
jig head is, whatever. But like I'm gonna start off working it slow, right? Because I'm like, okay, worst case, these fish are super lethargic and they don't want to come off the bottom, or they don't want to come up and chase anything. So I'm gonna put my lure down there where it's gonna, be in their strike zone, if that's the case. Now, if I find that I'm catching fish and maybe they're wanting it a little quicker,
So how do you what is like working it slow mean for someone that doesn't know
Dribble.
how to?
all right, like I'm gonna be throwing it like I'm speaking from a wade fisherman's perspective. So I'm
Okay.
standing in the water, I'm not drifting, I'm standing still, I'm able to do this. I'm casting out and I'm just pulling the rod sideways. I'm not popping it up and working it quick. I'm not pulling it off the bottom. I'm not reeling really fast. I'm letting it sink down until I feel the lure hit the bottom. And then I'm pulling the rod to the side. I'm just a slow sweep to the side, and that lure is just going to kind of barely come off the bottom. And I'm trying to pull it more forward than I am up.
Okay.
So I kind of just want to have it like unless I'm like positive I'm in the grass or something, like I feel something weird and I set the hook. Yeah, I'd rather freaking set the hook in the grass 90 times and then, on the 91st, it's a freaking 8-pound trout,
Yeah.
that this guy didn't because he didn't want to look like an idiot setting the hook in the grass.
Yeah. No,
Whatever,
absolutely.
When I
All right. So we talked about, so Victor uses the 50 cast method. How about you?
As far
What's
as
your method
switching
for switching
colors,
colors and
when I first started, like I used to switch. Like if I didn't catch a fish in like 10 casts, I put a new color on.
right?
Right. I was giving color too much value. Right. And I wasn't like you need to pay more attention to like, are you in fish or are you not? Um, you have those four colors, and if you're in fish, and if you throw them and they don't hit them,
So
they're just
other
not
other
biting.
than
You know, like
getting bites, is there anything else you use to determine whether you're in fish or you're coming up on
that's really
fish?
all you can use it unless
Just
you're
bites.
seeing them.
Yeah.
Like go when you can go, but like record something about the day. I don't care what it is, right? Like if you're just starting off, I'm not gonna say you gotta look up the moon phases and the tides and the freaking all the
Their
solar
horoscope
stuff
and
and
all that stuff.
yeah, I mean, it
The
just
stock.
You don't check
you,
the horoscope?
just script,
So
bro.
you're documenting kind of something about the day, but like what? Like what are things that you
Like at
document
the
that
bare
are?
minimum,
Yeah.
I was right here when I caught these fish.
Okay.
Like mark the spot. Like
Yeah.
that should
Okay,
go
fair
without
enough.
Take
saying,
a
right?
picture.
Like,
Yeah.
Take a picture,
like
and
yeah,
now with
and
the
go
phones.
back there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And go
Like
back there.
so like a lot of it for me sometimes is like, yo, I've caught a shitload of fish in this spot before. It's like figuring out when they're there. Sometimes it's a time of the year, sometimes it's a, you know, when the tide's doing this and the wind's doing that. And it's like, but you gotta catch fish in an area.
Okay.
And what I would really tell people is especially down here is there's a lot of times that you just get into them out on the open flats and they're just following the bait around or for whatever reason they're in that area that day. There's nothing really there that's holding them. You know, now if you can identify something there that's holding them, like there's a mud patch, there's a drop off, there's a gut, there's a grass line, there's, you know, something, some kind of structure, some kind of transition, some kind of something there. Even if you don't know what it is, you've just been back there enough times that you know they sit in that area, you
Yeah.
know. But I know a lot of people that, you know, will go out and they'll drift 800 yards and they'll catch fish and they'll mark where they started that drift, you know, and it's like
They were in
those
this. They were
fish,
in the
and
back
then
end
there's
of your
nothing really
graph.
there, you know, it's
Yeah.
just sand and it's just grass and sand pockets and it's that same thing, you know, stretching all the way up and down the coast. Um, so it's like, but if you're fishing and you drift over like an oyster bar or something, and you're like, oh, okay, you know, maybe that's why they're holding them, you know, and that's just stuff you got to look out for. But
Other
at
than
the
like
bare
waiting,
minimum, like if you go out and catch fish at a spot, like just try to go back there, not as often as you can, but go check it again, see if you can catch fish there again, um, and try to just look and see if there's something there that is worth trying to figure out when they get around, or if it's just a random kind of out there spot. You know, if you catch fish doing something,
Repeat it.
keep doing it. Yeah,
Repeat it.
like
Keep it going.
pay attention to what you're doing, like when you're out there, because it's not like um, I don't know, like when you start having success with something, you want to be able to
yeah,
like he said, like replicate it, right? Do it again, you know. And if you're not paying attention to what you're doing, if you're not being conscious of what you're doing, how you're doing it, like you're not going to be able to repeat that. You know, you're not going to be able to fish follow patterns. You know, everything follows
we all
patterns. We
follow
follow
patterns. Yeah,
patterns.
Yeah.
we
Animals
wake up
follow
in the morning.
patterns.
Yeah.
Every creature on the whole planet
Yep.
follows patterns.
On
we all
here
follow.
is that so lure selection, you know, it's not as complicated as a lot of people may think it is. Really there's a lot of factors, a lot of
Yeah.
variables outside of lure selection. He talked about kind of the tides, the current, the moon phases, the time of day, the time of year. There's a lot of variables and a lot of factors to
Yeah.
it. So and that actually is good because I really would like Monty to come back and later and talk more about these other aspects. And we can talk more about kind of wade fishing and lure fish or fishing off a boat, things that you may change
Yeah.
in your technique.
That
But
that that would be a lot better way, you know, to branch out on this. Because like I say, man, right now I'm trying to answer these questions like I just freaking opened my eyes to the world. You
yeah,
know, like I was born yesterday, right? You know, and okay, this is where you start.
yep,
Um, and but the main thing is just once you obviously have your lures and your jig heads and your rod and everything rigged up, and we can get into the rod and reel and the right kind of tackle and this and that, and just
Start
keep
off by
building
going.
on all that crap. But yeah, just go. You
Start off
know,
by going.
like if you want to learn, you got to do. Like that's it.
Yep.
Like as far as design goes, man, like if you're throwing lures down here, like if you're throwing any of the brands that are, ours or Norton or Kelly Wiggler or down south, I mean, they're all trying to mimic the same baits, right? It's a 3 to 5 inch shrimp to bait fish, little crab. It's stuff these fish are eating. So it's not like as far as the design goes, I wouldn't really worry too much about that. I'd put more into getting the variety of colors
The colors. Yep.
and as far as starting off with what color, just match the water, right? We were talking about that earlier. Like if you're in clear water, throw a clearer color. If you're in darker water, murky water, throw a darker, murkier color. If you're in kind of slightly murky water, maybe throw that natural looking one, or something that might just little see through, but it still pops out like the chicken shark. It's a fluorescent chartreuse. It's see through, but it's still like definitely there.
Yeah.
And just kind of play off of that based on what you have success with. I mean, that's basically what I'm getting at. Is like you just like that's how you just start, and then based off of what ends up working for you, you just got to work off of that.
The big
And
thing is the color and
Yeah.
really just matching it to the right
Color,
environment you're in.
action.
Yeah, I'd say so. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. When I know it's a little bit of a long, circle to get around to it, but the plastic, the garlic scent, like it's always there. You don't always need a scent on your lure. It doesn't always make a difference, but it never hurts.
Yeah, you don't need
And
to.
it's,
How many lures come in your bag?
It's 8 per pack.
8 per pack.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So the other thing, real here, and before we kind of give you your final thing is one thing I do like about what you guys are doing is we talked about kind of walking into a store and like figuring out what all you need to do. And one thing I do appreciate about the things you guys have done, you guys have kind of packaged that for people, right? So you have a kit that you sell that
oh
kind of
yeah,
has these
yeah,
different things, right? And it's basically a good starter kit for anyone that's looking to get in there, right? You have
yeah,
your different lures, your different colors that you'll need
yeah,
to get started. It covers all the basics in there, and it comes in a nice case so you can keep
yeah.
all your lures good out.
Talking about our mega box, it's I guess it'd be comparable like the Plano 3600 size boxes. It's waterproof. It's got our logo on the front, and it comes with 12 different packs of lures in it. And how we're actually going to be doing them from now on is it's just going to be $60. You get the box, and you get to pick your 12 packs.
Okay.
Nice.
There are times a year where 90% of the fish are in 10% of the water. You hear that phrase thrown around a lot, and it's like, yeah. But there are resident fish pretty much everywhere that you can learn how to
Scattered, yeah.
catch. Yeah, I mean, it might not be catching 40 or 50 fish, but you can go out there and you can catch 8 or 9 trout and keep your 5. I mean, that's a good day, right?
Yeah.
You got fish. It's a bonus, right? I mean, but it's like just wherever your starting point is, just start. Like,
Yeah.
just go.
Help you
Like,
and kind of help.
I mean, if you got the
push you
money
that-
for a guide, go hire a damn guide. Like, seriously, you want to learn how to fish? I mean, don't just go hire whatever guide. Do your research and get a good one.
Yeah.
But like one thing I've for sure learned, like above everything else, is it's like the more I learn, it's like the more you learn that you don't know.
Yep.
Like,
You don't know what you don't know until you
and
learn.
that's kind of a barrier for some people too. Is it's like they get out there and they want to act like they know it all, and they want to act like they got their shit. They're the shit, and they catch fish all the time, and they're badass. And it's like, dude, like there's so much that goes on out there that like we as humans probably haven't even figured out.
And we never will.
You
Like,
know,
there's
like-
you just. But thanks again for coming out here, and so just for all of the people that made it through the entire 2 hours of our video, definitely thanks for staying tuned. We do have a few questions for you guys. So first of all, let us know if you're fishing AM lures. Comment below. If you're not fishing AM lures, let us know what other
You need to
lures you
start.
are. Let us know what lures you're fishing, what colors you like, and along those lines.
Yeah.
The other thing I'd like to get people's thoughts on. So this is our first podcast, or we kind of did this YouTube video, and so the idea around this is that we want to speak with Monty to talk about lures. We definitely talked a lot about, but a bunch about a lot of other things. But if you have specific topics that you'd like to talk about, add them here below, and we'll bring in the appropriate experts, if you will, or thought leaders, or people that are familiar with those type of questions, and bring them in here.
Or there's people that sound like they know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
to
like
answer
like
'em.
Monty, like Monty. And the third question is really I want to the third thing is so just really want to make
Shut up,
it's
crickets.
the third one is really a plug for our next podcast. So this is episode 1. Episode
Yeah.
2 is going to be
Giving me
recorded.
homework.
What's that? Yeah. So this is homework for our watchers here. Episode 2 is actually I'm sitting down with some of the game wardens. Actually, I'm gonna try to see if Victor can sit down with us, but it's
You're crazy.
yeah, they're gonna want to see his pictures and his
Pictures like,
fishing.
bro.
But
I'm just here to sweep, sir. I'm just here to sweep. You said
but
border
yeah,
patrol. Or
so,
did you say?
no game wardens, not
Ah,
border
okay, I'm
patrol.
good,
You're
I'm
you're
good.
good. So,
I
but
got my license.
but yeah, the idea around sitting down with the game wardens is really to kind of ask them some of the really share some of their experience and some of their knowledge, get them to explain some of the recent changes in laws as well as things that they see, common violations out there. And really is going to give our community an opportunity to ask the game wardens any question you have. So I'm sitting down with
So get them ready.
so start add your questions here, message us on Facebook, message DM us, and any kind of questions you have around that. So we'll be recording that here in a few days. And yeah, so thanks again, Monty, for coming out
My
here.
podcast
Those are your
glasses.
podcasting glasses. We should have done this the whole time.
Yeah,
You should have been
bro. I
wearing
just
those.
saw them on the table. I was like,
Your
man, I missed it.
your level of credibility just
Yeah,
went
my
up, but
credibility
really
just went up.
critical, just like the the video
Yeah,
artificial.
Yeah.
So, but
Art,
yeah, so but anyways, thanks again for coming, guys. If you guys haven't tried out aim lures, get on them. They do great products, and we use them. Victor uses them almost exclusively, or if not exclusively, and so they're out there. So reach out to Monty if you have any questions or want to learn more about his lures
or Albert.
or Albert. Yep. So
You
I
guys
want to
reach
clear
out
something
too.
out. Yes, I use them. This is the only only lure I use now, but it's not because they're asking me to. It's because I really enjoy fishing with it.
no, absolutely. So yeah.
It's my decision.
So they definitely make a
Yeah.
great product, and so I think Monty was being a little humble around kind of what they do and the success people have had around it. But definitely there's a lot of people out there that are fishing and catching fish with them. If you don't have to believe me or Monty or Victor, you can get out on Facebook or Instagram and you see people posting them out
Yeah.
there, and even like there's a
And
lot
we
of
get a lot
guys
out of
even
that,
like
man.
like Joaquin's posting his
Yeah.
videos, right? He's
Yeah.
showing people where he's catching fish,
Yeah.
where he's catching them, how he's catching them using your lures.
Yeah, that guy puts out some great videos.
Yeah, so it's definitely the guys from Stoic are doing a good job. I think recently, yeah, there's a fly in here kind of bugging around, and yeah, thanks, thanks. I definitely heard that clap there, but yeah, but anyway, so thanks again for coming by, and like I said, thanks for you guys that made it by. If you haven't had a chance, like our video, subscribe to our channel.
Yeah.
And we'll be putting out more content like this again, hopefully pretty soon. So this YouTube video will be it will be stayed live here on our archive, and then like the audio part of it, I'll clean it up, cut it up. Although actually, this was actually pretty clean. There really was.
Who was the first person to ask a question?
Yeah.
Let's see here. What's
Give
our
that person a shout out.
giveaway? Well, let's see here. Hold on, let me get my computer here.
Oh yeah, that's right. We do the 2 packs.
So we have a
Yeah.
few
What?
packs. Oh man, I just lost my live stream. What just happened?
Damn.
No, I think I'm going to Safari. my
Yeah.
Safari.
We're still
does not-
here.
My Safari.
We're live.
We're on live. Suckers.
Live action, baby.
The first question that was the first question or the first comment or both?
First question.
First question
Give it
was
to both of them. Shit.
so what are y'all drinking? Does that count as a question?
That's a
That's a
question, I
question,
Yes,
right?
Yeah,
so,
hey,
so
technically,
James,
technically yes.
but he didn't put a question mark on there, so I don't know. If
Yeah,
it
it
was,
doesn't matter. It's internet. You
It's
don't
the
need to
internet,
put punctuation.
So punctuation doesn't
Who
matter
was
on
the
the
first?
internet.
Who was the
So
first person on
You
the
don't need to put it on the internet because everyone will just put it on there for you.
yeah, so yeah, so it's James Hernandez Wallow, also known as Wallowitz. And so he will give him.
Oh, well, Wallo has fish AM lures because when he went with me, yeah, he went with me.
He
yeah,
did
he
fish
went
with
with
you.
me
Yeah,
at the tournament.
yeah, the shallow sport tournament. You're right.
So
Did he
he's
fish
used
with
AM
you?
lures
So
before. As a matter of
so-
fact, all the fish he caught were AM lures
all the fish
on a popping cork.
on the popping
Yeah.
board. So,
Yeah, hey,
so-
they work great on their
So,
popular.
so I think we owe Wallow 2 packs of lures here, and we'll get them out to you, Wallow. I think actually he's coming down. He's out in Montgomery up in Conroe, but
Montgomery's right here.
Montgomery. Oh,
right
he's in
around.
Conroe, Texas.
it's not
Conroe,
that
so
bad,
he'll
it's
be
Montgomery.
watching from up there. But so Wallow, you just
On
got
the
2
coast,
packs
bro.
of lures, and we'll get them out to you. So but again, thanks guys. If you guys haven't had a chance, we've gone out here. This is much longer than I thought we were doing. I'll figure out how to kind of shorten these up and make it sweeter and kind of more to the point. But actually, I really enjoyed this. It was a fun
was fun, man.
conversation. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was different. It was new for all of us. And so again, if you haven't had a chance, subscribe to our channel, as well as like our videos here below. So thanks again for watching, guys, and stay tuned. The podcast will get put out there on iTunes and Spotify. So thanks again. All
Check
right,
it out.
thanks,
Peace
guys.
out.
See you guys later.
Go out and fish.
Get out there and fish. All right, we do want to end our end stream. All right.